Finally, the Scots have taken over.
I'll remind you that Ross started that sentence with, I'm going to give you some terrible advice.
How did they get it so wrong?
Hello and welcome back to the Traction Control podcast, a weekly show where we discuss all things racing games and sim racing. And as you may see or may hear if you're listening to us on your favourite podcast platform, I am not Tom. It is John leading the charge this week. Unfortunately, both Toms, in fact, are over in the States on a work trip. I say unfortunately, it's sad for you guys because you don't get to hear their opinions on all the topics we're going to discuss today, but we of course hope they're having a great time over in the States. And in the meantime, all is not lost because yes, the Scots are taking over. I have drafted in Traxion senior editor Ross McGregor. And Ross, first of all, have you actually recovered from all of the Adelaide Turn 8 hits you took last week when we did some iRacing stuff?
Well, I don't think my reputation's recovered, but yes, everything's fine.
It won't when the social clip goes out.
Yeah, thanks for that. But thank you for inviting me to this podcast, my debut. So I just want to say sorry to all the kind of regular viewers for my performance, but yes, I am here.
Yeah, so this is Ross's first appearance on the latest kind of iteration of the Traxion podcast. But of course, you will have read many of Ross's articles and you will have watched many videos in which Ross's words have been used, and you may have heard him on the streams as well. So he will be familiar to some of you, and we're going to be more familiar to you by the end of this episode. We're going to talk a lot about sim racing today, because I feel like it's been quite a quiet start to the year for sim racing, but everything is going to blow up very soon. Before we do that, however, we're going to start by talking a little bit about Forza Horizon 6, because in the last week or two, there have been several videos appearing on the IGN YouTube channel talking about some of the finer details with Forza and also showcasing some new gameplay. I know, Ross, that you have already done some analysis of the 9-minute gameplay video that we saw, where essentially a Celine S7 drives around Japan and shows off some of the landscapes. So what were your initial impressions on that?
I think the overall reaction to the video was like disappointment, because like it showed the game off in a poor light, I think. I don't know who was responsible for that, whether it was IGN or the developer Playground Games, but like the video was recorded in like quite a poor kind of fashion. Like it was, I don't know, it was like, it looked like it was in 1080p rather than 4K, and all the kind of colours were washed out, and it didn't look very, it didn't look Forza Horizon-ish, because it was just not very polished. Like that wasn't the only concern, because like there was hardly any AI traffic to show on the video either. But later, like it was revealed that was a deliberate decision to like show off the landscape in its best possible light. It just seems strange. Like, why wouldn't you say that from the very start? But since then, obviously, there's been like more footage, and it looks a lot better. It looks more like what we expect.
I'm glass half full, which is definitely a bad thing at times, right? And you don't want to get too excited, and you need to judge things on what you see. But I view that as the atmosphere is going to come. I'm not too concerned about the lack of atmosphere. I understand the lack of maybe fidelity and things like that, but again, I don't want to judge it on the one video. I just think that once you add in the radio, once you add in a bit more atmosphere with more traffic driving around, once you add in, the characters in your ear telling you to go to the next event and all the different things on the map, I do think that the atmosphere and the vibrancy is going to come. I do think it was strange to kind of show off sort of the flat weather, almost, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't showing it in its best light, ironically, even though it was trying to show the landscape in its best light. But I was really interested by some of the roads that I saw. There was one particular bit I loved where a car, the Celine sort of drove over this crest and down a hill, and it almost looked like that beautiful right-hander on Gran Turismo and Autodromo Maggiore, where you come over the hill and there's this beautiful downhill section into a sharp right-hand hairpin. And I just thought, wow, this looks beautiful. And I also I really enjoyed what I saw from the sort of longer deep dive video, which we saw a few days later, where they looked into the different areas on the map and, talking a little bit about how there's a full team just to create Tokyo City. And then you had the way that the landscape split up is going to be different from previous Forza Horizon titles. It looks like verticality is going to be a big feature in this game. So instead of sort of having, a forest up in one side and a desert somewhere else and a city somewhere else, it looks as if it's going to use more height-based separation, let's say. So it's not going to be as kind of broken up as that. And I think that's going to add quite a lot of character to the game, personally.
I'm cautiously optimistic about it. But it does worry me that like they would drop the ball so quickly like that. But yeah, I think it'll be fine. And obviously we've got like a new mode coming called Time Attack, which is basically just circuit driving, and you get more credits and experience by like beating your own lap times. So yeah, that looks fine. It's not something I'm that excited about, but I'm just more excited about being a Forza Horizon game. You can just explore like a large kind of landscape. That's kind of the key thing for me. Obviously, like modifying cars and stuff like that is obviously a massive part of it. But it kind of raised another interesting thing was that people were complaining about the Honda S2000, the modified Honda S2000 that was shown in one of the videos, and they were kind of picking faults in the car model, because obviously remember Forza Motorsport had a lot of criticism for using like older car models from previous kind of Forza games, and it seems like the car model that was used in this trailer was like not up to scratch. So again, when you see stuff like that, it puts a little kernel in your mind, like maybe there's going to be issues going forward. But I think it'll be absolutely fine, because it's such a massive game and it's such a massive development team as well that I just think it's almost too big to fail. So
I agree with you, and I think the scope is also what makes it very difficult to have everything perfect, right? It's so big, it's so vast that you probably can't have every one of the 500 plus models looking incredible. And for me, that's not the most important part of the game. I understand it is a valid criticism, but in a game this big, I'd rather we had the features we had and we had all that stuff looked after. And I'm exactly the same as you, genuinely. For me, I don't play Forza Horizon for the hot lapping experience and the perfectly narrow roads to make it realistic. I might play an Assetto Corsa mod for that, right? Or maybe I'll play Assetto Corsa Evo Free Roam for that. What I play Forza Horizon for is the beautiful adventure and being able to progress through this wild game with loads of crazy cars, with all these different places to discover, roads to find, beautiful landscapes, and just kind of mucking around with friends, which I think the time attack mode is going to be good for. The drag racing sounds fun. All these things that people do anyway in Forza are sort of being integrated in a more gamified way where it actually rewards you for doing them. So I think that's quite a clever approach from the developers. And yeah, we didn't learn a huge amount of new things from these videos, but I'm enjoying seeing them. And it is, as much as people are concerned about certain elements, for me anyway, it's sort of adding to the hype and excitement. So plenty to look forward to in terms of Forza Horizon 6. We will now move it on, though, to sim racing, because we've had a couple of bits of news coming in recent weeks. The first thing I'm going to talk about is, in many ways, the sim of the moment, which is Le Mans Ultimate. There were a couple of bits of news we could take from Motorsport Games' most recent earnings call. First of all, Stephen Hood, the CEO, described the console version as being very much on track for either early to mid 2027. So that's a little bit more confidence and certainty on that front. Of course, the console version is being worked on by an unnamed third-party porting agency. So hopefully more information on that a little bit later. But there were a couple of other things. The revenue for 2025 was up 30% at $11.3 million. So in general, Ross, it looks like the finances at Motorsport Games are continuing to look more stable than they have been in the past. Do you think we're at a point now where we can, people can stop worrying about the ship sinking and maybe focus on where the ship's going next?
It does seem like we can be sure that Motorsport Games is going to survive, certainly in the medium term. And that's all because of Le Mans Ultimate. It's hard to believe it's like, was it 2 years, almost 2 years since it released in the early access? And the state it released in, it wasn't polished by any stretch of the imagination. It was missing a lot of features. But I just think the actual driving experience is so good that it's just it's driving the company
carries
forward.
It.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of features missing, like the career mode, for example, and you can't even do a single player championship yet. So I guess that's kind of going to be targeted for the console release in 2027. So there's still work to do, but it's hard to see how they can fail from this point.
Fingers crossed they don't fail, and they can continue to grow and build. There was something else that I picked up on from the earnings call, which is a comment that was made by Stephen Hood about essentially the credit that came from Citibank. So a $3 million line of credit from Citibank, which it recently secured. And it was to ensure that we can deliver on our multi-platform plans for Le Mans Ultimate without tempering our plan to initiate the build of a new gaming title. So that phrase there our plan to initiate the build of a new gaming title. Lots of things we can unpack there, but basically that's clear intent that not only are Motorsport Games, confident of continuing to work on Le Mans Ultimate, they are very much looking ahead to what's next. Is this a good thing at this point to be looking ahead at what's next? Do you think Le Mans Ultimate needs to be consolidated further, or do you think this is all just part of what any earnings call would involve?
Yeah, I mean, any business has to look to the future, and you're always kind of thinking, what's next? So if you're making a lot of profit, then you have to reinvest that in the business to drive like future sales and a future title in this case. I'm just kind of wondering, like, what do you think the future title could be? Because I've got an idea, but I don't know what you think.
I think I know what I'd want it to be, but just before I talk about that, I want to say, like, there have been so many situations recently where video game development feels rushed, and it feels like we just wish there was more time. So on one hand, I really don't want the progression with Le Mans Ultimate to slow down yet. I feel like we're still quite a long way away from that game reaching a point where it's sort of on top of the hill, if that makes sense. It still feels like it's growing. There's obviously still esports to see on there. There's still career mode. There's still plenty more content we could see. And we still haven't seen stuff like classic content, which I would love. I still feel like we're on the upwards trajectory with Le Mans Ultimate, and it's not there yet. So I very much want to see that continue to develop. And of course, consoles will make a huge difference on that front too. But at the same time, talking about these things like another project, a new gaming title, as early as this, I think is a good thing, because if you can do both at the same time, you're actually giving yourself more time while Le Mans Ultimate continues to grow and get better and still has years ahead of it. You've got more time to get whatever this next project might be right and not rush out an early release or something. So first of all, I just wanted to say, I think it's good that there's already plans in place and we're talking about this despite there also being work on Le Mans Ultimate. But to come back to your question, my personal opinion is I would just love to see an R Factor 3. Because I think R Factor 2 was great in so many ways for what could be done in terms of content and the variety and all of these things and online racing. But at the same time, it felt very messy and unpolished and sandboxy. So if you can take some of the polish that they've done with Le Mans Ultimate and the progress that's been made with Le Mans Ultimate and sort of apply that to a game with a wider roster, yes, it might be difficult to get physics parity and good force feedback for every car and all these kind of things. But that's what I personally would absolutely love to see. What do you think?
Yes, I think R Factor 3 would be like great, especially when it's built from the ground up to be less janky, because it's, as we know from years of experience racing in it, it can be quite challenging to set up. But like, I kind of think if it does turn out to be R Factor 3, it'll be like a more live service kind of thing. Maybe similar to like what iRacing offers. So it'll be more modular, so you can kind of have like, well, this kind of relates to a topic later on, perhaps, but you could have like BTCC content that you could just like buy separately and stuff like that.
Mm.
I guess that R Factor 2 was the same, but yeah, I think if it does come out, it would have to be a more polished kind of product.
A rounded experience rather than just a sandbox, jump in a car and drive it.
Yeah, yep. Because as we know, like R Factor 2 development has kind of stopped pretty much, apart from like a few user-made sort of. Well, we had Zolder, for example, which is a community-made.
Very random.
Yeah, very random, but also welcome. And we've had like, a couple of kart sim updates. So yeah, like, I'd love to see R Factor 3 because we need more new sims.
Interesting as well. Stephen Hood's mentioned in the past an interest in creating a more like open world driving experience sort of game. So that's something, you never know. Maybe if R Factor 3 isn't the route we go down, maybe we go for like a R Factor Horizon 1.
Yeah.
Let's wait and see. And one other thing as well, Stephen Hood did say, maybe, when do we time the release of console version? It's more about the timing of the release rather than when it's going to be ready. It's more about picking a good time. So do you think maybe timing it with Le Mans 2027?
Yeah, I was going to say that's like the most obvious kind of release window. I think, what was the quote he actually said? What's the most beneficial window for release? It's not going to be 4 weeks after Le Mans, is it? So...
Yeah, that could be a little hint. So something to definitely keep an eye on. I want to go through a bit of a quick fire news roundup for the world of sim racing, because we don't have time to go into all of these topics today. There's just too much to talk about. So a couple of little things of note recently. obviously, iRacing has its new season starting this week with Season 2 2026. Not a huge amount of standout content, Ross, from this update, but one track in particular probably got us the most excited, and that is St. Petersburg.
Yes, so there was just an IndyCar round a couple of weeks ago at St. Petersburg, and I think we both agree that in terms of like the track modelling and the graphics of the track, it looks pretty good, and the bumps certainly feel authentic.
Yes, and the walls do too.
The concrete walls feel very authentic, judging by our little couple of races we had there the other week. So, yeah, St. Petersburg's like the standout part of the kind of update, the new build. But it was a little bit underwhelming because obviously we got the Gen 2 Audi RS3 TCR car, and we got the Ram truck from the Craftsman Truck Series. So it wasn't like a stellar kind of lineup for this build. And it kind of made me wonder, like, are iRacing maybe like spreading themselves too thin? Because obviously they're developing the IndyCar game, another NASCAR game, and also iRacing Arcade, which came out, was it last week or the week before? So you just wonder how much of their resources are actually going into creating new content for iRacing. And I imagine it's probably fine, like, but just from outside, it looks like there's not an awful lot of content coming. So
I know what iRacing would say, and they would say that it's not affecting it. Different projects are not affecting it. But I guess the proof is in the pudding in terms of what the products actually become. So yeah, that's that for iRacing. We've also got RaceRoom bringing another update very soon. More information is coming on Wednesday, which is when the time this podcast goes out today. So keep an eye out for more info on this latest update. But RaceRoom have been releasing some teasers as to what this update will contain. We've already seen the Alpine GT4 teased at Spa. We know that Spa is being reworked. A new version of Spa is coming back to the game because it was taken away from the game a couple of years ago, presumably due to licensing issues. And there have been a couple of other teasers which have been appearing on the RaceRoom Facebook page. And I think, Ross, you spotted a particular car that you recognised.
Yeah, so I think this is an electric car, which will obviously divide opinion among the sim racing and motorsport community. But I think it's the NXT Gen Cup car. So it's like a Mini Cooper kind of facsimile. But we talked about this before, and we're like, do we want to race like an electric Mini Cooper with not much power? And it's front wheel drive as well.
I would race it. I just don't know if I want to drive it.
I've always had some good races with like low powered cars in the past. I think one highlight was in lockdown we drove like a Citroen C1 in R Factor 2.
Oh yeah, that was brilliant.
A swap race. The racing was amazing because it was just like a slipstream battle all the way. So as you say, it could be amazing for just like side to side racing. But yeah, it's not setting the heather on fire.
A couple of other things I very briefly want to touch on. We've got a very exciting year ahead with Automobilista 2. Nothing really new at the moment, but we did see an update a while back announcement a while back that kind of teased some of the stuff we'd be seeing this year. And in terms of content, you've got Super Tourers coming, you've got Ross's favourite Can-Ams, we've got sort of Formula 1 cars from the early noughties, German touring cars from the early noughties, so basically DTM, maybe without a license, we could expect to see there. 50 sports cars have also been shown, and excitingly, Group 5s, so the old DRM cars like your Capris. Me and you have done plenty of battle in those cars over the years on various sims, so I think that'll be good to see appearing in Automobilista 2. And then, of course, if you were following the Traxion channel and the Traxion podcast channel last week, you will have seen we had a kind of special interview with Kevin Boland from Straight 4 Studios about Project Motor Racing. Essentially, Tom was able to ask him what went wrong with the development and the launch and what's coming next with Project Motor Racing. I urge you to go and watch it. It was a very interesting listen. And Kevin, was essentially being very open and honest about what he felt went wrong and what the team are looking to do moving forward. So go and check out that episode if you haven't already. We did have a couple of comments that I wanted to go over as well, just kind of summarizing the view. Of course, there were also comments full of anger and disgust at how disappointed they were, how much they hate the game, as you always see. But I think the general consensus was pretty encouraging. The Attack Story 9023 says, great job, Kevin. I've thoroughly been enjoying PMR, and I think PMR might be my favorite after some work. So that's very positive. A little bit more tempered from the likes of Amarazane 4519. Sorry for the name pronunciation. I never trust anything until a game is actually released. Bitten too many times in the past. But I've never seen this before, honestly. Straight talk. Very good to see for those who bought it. I plan to get it in the future. And there was a few comments like that. So there's definitely people are happy to see some honesty and some transparency and some owning up to some of the issues there, which is good. Ross, what do you think on that comment? I never trust anything until a game is actually released. Bitten too many times in the past. Have you been bitten at all?
Yeah, so we were definitely bitten by PMR and Rensport. Although, to be fair, PMR has maybe restored its reputation a little bit by releasing so many post-release updates. And in the future, it's going to be Super GT content, which is pretty cool because no other sims really have any license sort of Super GT stuff. So that kind of thing might draw me back in to try it again and see if it has improved. So would that kind of bring you back in, or are you finished?
Yeah. No, definitely not. You have to be open to these things. I've given it quite a wide berth because of the disappointment of the launch, and I think the Super GT cars will bring in sort of new tire model and basically a fresh start. It will act as a fresh start. You've got the big update, not just the content, of course, but the kind of overall game update that's coming soon. So we definitely need to revisit it, and we will be doing so on the website and the channel. So I'm excited to try it. I'm also, of course, not going to get my hopes up too much. It's just going to be one of those things where we have to try it out and see what we think. I have been bitten so many times, and it's one of the biggest things I've learned since doing this job actually in years is when you see a small slice of a game and you try out something in a very specific scenario on a specific piece of hardware for a short amount of time, you might think one thing, and then actually you're being shown potentially the best of what that thing is. Do be careful about getting too excited until you try something and it's actually released, because you can definitely get bitten. So yeah, very relevant comment there. And I guess in terms of finishing this kind of quick fire sim racing roundup, I just wanted to flag that there aren't really many, or if any, sim racing titles coming this year. I know we've got a couple in early access that may be releasing, but that's about it.
Yes. As we said earlier, there's not really much in the way of new sim racing titles. So a set of course for Evo, we don't really know if it's going to come in 2026, but judging by the rate of progress, it seems like it's not going to happen. So that might be 2027. So apart from that, the only one I can think of is Pista Motorsport, the Argentinian motorsport racing simulator. And the times I've played it, I've not been massively impressed. It is a small team, to be fair, but
yeah,
it's not really exciting me that much. I don't know if you've played it that often.
Yeah, there's a very focused hype on it from a small group of people that are very passionate about it, and I think that's great. So it could become one of these kind of cult sims that some people play religiously and love. I don't know if it's going to be enough to sort of win over a mass sim racing audience with everything that's out there, but I'm obviously very much glass half full with this as well. I wish them all the best. It is a small team. There's potential there, and I did enjoy certain elements of playing it, and I also found other elements frustrating. So I am definitely gonna give it a try when it releases fully. But in terms of 2026, it's sort of reliance on existing sim racing titles to carry us through the year. So last week on the Traxion YouTube channel, we released a video, our 7 favourite rally games in 2026. Rallying is something, Ross, that we're both very passionate about. And you, of course, put the script for this video together. It was your list, essentially. So, I mean, let's get straight into it. What made you put the certain titles in the positions that you put them in?
Well, just to caveat this video started as a top 5, not a top 7. So I was very, very confident about the top 5. And for me, the top 1 is Richard Burns Rally again. And basically because it's it's an all-in-one package. And I also have to caveat that by saying that it's not the original Richard Burns Rally, it's Richard Burns Rally modified. So it's the Rally Sim Fans team that have modified. They've added so many utilities, stages, cars. If you want to change your pace notes for a stage, you can go and edit your pace notes. There's just so much you can do. It's just the perfect rally simulator for rally fans. It's got everything.
I'm totally with you on the premise of the overall experience once you get everything set up. I would caveat it with it takes a little bit of an RBR expert or experience in the modding scene and being able to install everything properly and get it set up to actually get to a point where it's great. It's not a pick up and play situation as a modern rally game you would think would be. So I would caveat it with like Richard Burns Rally with Rally Sim fans is great once you get it set up and going, and once you get everything installed properly, and once you have the correct plugins, and once you have the options in place. So you can make an argument for like the ultimate experience in a perfect situation, and also the best pick up and play situation. But that's, we're talking here about actual raw, authentic experiences. I think that, one thing I would maybe have put differently to you, and I don't even know if I would have, EA Sports WRC, I think there was maybe too much expectation on what that game could have been that maybe has made people more disappointed with the reality of it. I think that if you ignore the graphical issues, which kind of got ironed out through time, still not perfect, don't get me wrong, but I think if you put that aside for a second, I do think that is a great, fun rally game to pick up and play. For anyone who enjoyed the likes of Dirt Rally 2.0 and the original Dirt Rally, I do think that game adds other elements that potentially make it at least as good as, or almost as good as, in my opinion. But there was a big kind of distance between Dirt Rally 2.0 on your list, which was, I think, second, I believe, and EA Sports WRC towards the back. However, I'm going to caveat my own argument because how do you rank those games? I mean, there are so many great games in there that are very different. And how do you put one ahead or below another? Like Art of Rally's in there, Super Road and Rally Edge. These two games I love to bits. They are amazing games. It's a different style of rallying. It's not simulation. It's like an arcade game. And it's very difficult to like objectively say one is better than the other. So I kind of get what you mean. Like, it's very difficult to actually rank that in order.
Yeah, that's impossible.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a bit of fun at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. Take it with a pinch of salt, but it's basically my personal opinion. And what I always kind of come back to is, I always come back to playing Richard Burns Rally. Like, I played Dirt Rally, the original Dirt Rally, maybe spent about 80 hours in game, and then I went back to Richard Burns Rally. Dirt Rally 2 came out, spent, another 80, 90 hours in game, went back to Richard Burns Rally after that. EA Sports WRC comes out, and then after I finish playing that, I go back to Richard Burns Rally. It just has the best feeling of driving a rally car, so that's why it's number one.
Yeah.
And then the others are kind of the other placings are like how you kind of feel at the time, and also like relevance has like a big part to play because obviously Assetto Corsa Rally was number 3 on the list, because it's it's the in thing right now. It's quite good. And I think we do have some thoughts about this as well. In terms of like the latest updates, Monte Carlo was obviously like really good. Like, I think the developers have captured the atmosphere perfectly of rally in the game. But I still have some concerns about the physics, like especially on asphalt as well. It's like I'm not totally convinced that it's a RBR beater just yet.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I know you are fully on the RBR train, and I do get it because I also think that on a stage when everything's working, it is just very, very hard to beat. But I just see Assetto Corsa Rally as the first time that we've actually been presented something that has the clear potential to go that step and be up there with, if not ahead of RBR. So yes, maybe the tarmac physics aren't quite there yet with RBR, with the modded version of RBR, of course, we need to be clear. But everything around it is already either better or is clearly going to be. So, for example, the graphics, Assetto Corsa Rally looks sensational. RBR, at the age of that graphics engine, the game engine, it cannot look that good. Although mods have done a very good job of making it look good. Content is obviously a question mark. Content is going to be, there's so much more content available for Richard Burns Rally, but content is only going to increase for Assetto Corsa Rally. I'm concerned that the content is too high a quality for the quantity to go with it. So that's a little bit of a worry. Like, if everything needs to be that good, it's going to take time. So I will temper that a little bit, but add some features in there, add more content in there, keep on working on what's there. And I do think that it is the only game which has potential that I've seen to kind of beat Richard Burns Rally. I mean, just for me, the atmosphere of that they've managed to capture with the Monte Carlo stages, like crossing the call at night. Yes, I'm disappointed. It's the kind of alternative call route. It's not maybe the historic one. When you come over the hill, you're actually going down the other side. I can't remember the name of the village you go from, but it was a route that was used for a short period, and we'll not get into all the details of that. But aside from those tiny little nitpicky things, the atmosphere from the crowd, the flares, the fireworks, it's everything that EA Sports WRC was missing when it launched. And I just think that there's so few experiences out there that sort of match that feeling of, wow, this is giving me the rally feels like when I watch a WRC event.
So I put AC Rally above EA Sports WRC, even though it's not got as much content. I think the potential kind of warrants that position. And also the other interesting thing is that both games use Unreal Engine, and I'm sure you agree that AC Rally looks so much better than EA Sports WRC, which makes you wonder what was going on with the development of that. Like, how did they get it so wrong?
I don't know if it changed Unreal Engine 4 to 5 during the development. I can't remember the details on that, but I believe there was some uncertainty there. But also, I just think that Supernova Game Studios have done such a good job they've just optimized it. Like, and they've proven that it's possible to optimize. And I think the experience from previous games using that system have really helped them out. But yeah, performance isn't perfect, but it's decent, and the visuals are obviously just they've managed to take Unreal Engine and produce it in a way that we've just not seen before, to a level we've not seen before. It's like proven its capability. So yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. We do have a couple of comments to cover from this rally video, and also from we've put out a couple of posts on our Traxion community tabs asking for questions and stuff, and we've had a few over the weeks relating to rallying. So we'll cover one first of all from Catastra. Finally jumped into AC Rally, and I'm having lots of issues with sliding around everywhere on gravel with even light braking. Catastra's also asked us to do a full episode on AC Rally, our thoughts on the physics. I would definitely love to do a full episode with the developers at some point. I'm sure we will. It's not going to be today, but Ross, just on the physics thing, this is specifically talking about sliding around on gravel, and it is challenging at times.
Yeah, it was. I did find it more challenging than RBR on gravel initially, but I felt like once you kind of get your head around it a little bit, it did feel really enjoyable to me to chuck a car around. But you had to drive a bit more tidily, like a bit more Sebastian Loeb rather than Colin McRae. So I enjoyed that challenge. But for me, the asphalt physics are maybe like the bigger issue. I don't know. How did you feel about the gravel physics?
I was really happy with all of it. I thought the gravel physics on AC Rally reminded me of the feeling I first had when I drove on loose surfaces in a kind of rally car in real life. It was just like, and I've not done much of it, but just that feeling of, wow, braking, I feel so much happening underneath me, and the car is just sliding all around the place, and you really have to think through everything so much more when you're doing that in real life than I would have like on Dirt Rally 2.0, for example. Richard Burns Rally is obviously great in terms of authenticity for how early you have to brake and the movement and everything. But when I first played a Assetto Corsa Rally, I was just like instantly blown away. I thought it was really good, and it's going to take people time to get used to it because you don't have that fear factor. So you're basing so much of your feeling on the force feedback and not what's happening through your butt, and that's a big thing. So you have to get used to it. But I do think it to me eked of authenticity. So the tarmac stuff, again, I was actually pretty positive straight away, but I completely understand with a bit more testing where it feels maybe if you back to back it with a modded RBR, it doesn't quite, you don't get as much sensation through the tires, that I would say is maybe the thing. Yeah, so hopefully that's something that can continue to be worked on in future. We had a couple of other comments, just basically suggestions for other rally games that could have made the list, and I agree with a lot of these, so I'm going to just run through it. Boogity 7633 says, Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo snubbed yet again. I agree, although I can't see how you put it in a top 7, but if we had a top 10 list, it's a great rally game with flaws, a bit old now, but 100% needs a bit of love. We also had Beazle Undefined saying, BeamNG in VR, though the worst looking and not allowing for extra OpenXR settings, gives the best driving feeling from all other racing games. So someone looking to put Beam higher up the list. We've also had
a comment. Disagree on that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but Ross, you did put Beam in the list, which is good, because I think there's certain things that Beam does better than anything else, so we have to give it credit for that. And of course, it's also in early access. You've got Rene Beau says, I've only ever tried one, AC Rally, had to try it with all the videos out there, quickly bought a round wheel, and now it's taking up too much of my time. I think that kind of sums it up. It really is an engrossing experience. couple of comments as well about the Dirt games. So Dirt 1 to Dirt 3. Basically saying that Dirt 1 to Dirt 3 are the best rally games ever made. And we also had another one saying Dirt 2 will always be my all-time favorite rally game. So plenty of love for those original Dirt titles. Not Dirt Rally, but the original Dirt titles, which are a little bit more kind of fun and accessible and multidiscipline. But we can acknowledge they are amazing games, as is Dirt Rally 1. Miguel also said we forgot to give love to Dirt Rally 1 because we focused more on Dirt Rally 2 in the video. But of course, Ross, we've given plenty of love to Dirt Rally in the past. You even we did a full retrospective on that game.
We gave Dirt Rally all the love. It took me months to write an article as well.
Yeah, so go and check that out. And Dan45100 asks, honest, proper opinion on Dirt Rally 2.0. I personally love the cars, the stages, the soundtrack, and Phil being the co-driver. Dan, I have so much love for Dirt Rally 2.0. It was a game that brought me a lot of joy over many hours, especially during lockdown as well. Yes, it does not handle in any way like the elite sims that we've talked about, the AC rallies, your RBRs, but in terms of enjoyment, in terms of authenticity without pure realism, right up there for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. As like a long-term rallycross fan, like his World Rallycross content was brilliant. I'd never seen like rallycross covered in a game like that before, so it was just so much fun. And I want more.
Absolutely. We're going to wrap things up very shortly. So just a couple of community questions we want to cover. The first one is still on the rally theme, Ross, and I'm going to go to you for this. Bongo6462 asks, I've been playing a lot of Assetto Corsa Rally and need a handbrake for gravel. Any cheap suggestions?
I've heard a lot of good stuff about the Moza, is it HBP handbrake? So I think it's like less than £100, but the problem is it's a potentiometer handbrake, so it won't give you like the precise kind of feel of like a load cell handbrake. And for me...
But cheap.
Yes, importantly cheap, yes. But for me, I'm going to give you like some terrible advice and just say spend like over 200 or nearly £300 on like a load cell handbrake from Housing Belt or SimLabs, the XB1 handbrake. I've been using a Housing Belt sim handbrake for about 6 years. It gives you so much more immersion. Just being able to like feel how much handbrake you need to like grasp to get around the hairpins. So I think if you're serious about rally games, then go expensive.
I'll remind you that Ross started that sentence with, I'm going to give you some terrible advice. So just bear that in mind.
Yeah.
Lewis Gilbert also asked, shout out to Lewis as well. And you've asked this question before, Lewis, but I'm going to ask it to Ross because Ross is here and wasn't here the last time we talked about this question. So Lewis asks, with Motorsport Games losing the BTCC license this year, which sim should pick that up? Now, we already spoke about this with the Toms, and I think I said Codemasters and their old guys, but nowadays maybe a Kunos, an ACC-style game. And what do you think, Ross?
I want to see Motorsport Games again.
Because what it was going to be.
yes, basically. Because our Factor 2's BTCC cars were pretty amazing overall. And it would just be a shame not to use that. Like that kind of basis, that physics basis for a touring car game. But would it happen? I don't know. I mean, Stephen Hood did say he's working on another game. So is that a Factor 3 or is it a BTCC game? We don't know. But that's my gut feeling. I would like to see Motorsport Games make a BTCC game as originally intended.
There is a second part to Lewis's question, but it's far too big a topic to go into on this particular podcast. So we'll maybe save it for a wider discussion, Lewis. So do bear with us. But I mean, on the subject of motorsport crossovers, we also talked about what games we would like to see for specific motorsport series like the BTCC. Do you have any games that you would like to see? Any specific series you'd like to see dedicated games for?
As I said, I'm a massive rallycross fan, so I'd like to see the European Rallycross Championship as like a standalone game, just because rallycross like lends itself really well to gaming because it's like short, sharp races and action packed. So I would love to see that, to be honest.
That sounds fun. I would play it. And some karting games as well. Like, so maybe some. You were saying to me earlier you'd like to see an official FIA Karting World Championship title.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if Motorsport Games finished Kartcraft and turned it into like a World Karting Championship game with like a full career mode. That would be excellent.
which then leads into R Factor 3, which is coming in the future, as we talked about earlier, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be what we want. So so there you go. Right.
Yeah, we found the perfect scenario there.
Easy as well to make, multi-discipline game covering every official series with career mode, all integrated. Perfect.
Yes. So
the
easy.
racing game
So
world
easy.
is so simple.
Yeah.
And finally,
Glad
we have yeah, absolutely. We have a comment from Aussie BFG Gaming. You already asked us this before. We hadn't answered it yet. You've asked us again, so we're going to answer you today. I really don't like chase cam in modern Gran Turismo games. This is why I don't play GT7. Any suggestions to this? I play only on PlayStation 5. Well, Aussie BFG, first suggestion, have you tried editing the camera settings? Because you can actually edit them on Gran Turismo. If you pause the game while you're driving, you head to display settings, there's an adjust chase view button. And there you can change the view type from far chase cam to near. And you can also change the sensitivity and the rotation offset. So if you lower them down to 1 for the sensitivity, 0 for the rotation offset, it will change the feel of the chase cam. It may make it feel more like you're playing an older game or a Forza game, for example, and that might tick the boxes for you. You may have already tried that. And if it hasn't worked, all I can say is try and get used to bonnet cam or hood cam, because the modern Gran Turismo titles handle best when you play from bonnet or chase cam or hood cam, I should say. Even if it's not as immersive, if it's not as enjoyable for you, unfortunately, that's the best way to get the most out of the game, in my humble opinion. And if that's not good enough for you, then GT7 is not the game for you. Maybe need to find some other games. And that, I'm afraid, is going to round off today's podcast. It's been great having you on, Ross. Have you had a good time here?
I've had a wonderful time. Finally, the Scots have taken over. It was all part of our plan.
Yeah, and as with all these podcasts, we could go on for hours about all of these topics, but we try and keep it brief so that you guys can listen to this on your journey to work or on your drive to going for a walk in the park, or maybe you're listening over a morning coffee, whatever you're doing. Hopefully you're finding this new revamped Traction Control podcast enjoyable, and we will of course be back again next week to continue our weekly dose of racing game and sim racing chat. If you want to see the video version of this podcast, you can find us on YouTube on the Traction Control podcast channel and also on Spotify. And if you want to find an audio only version of this, just have a search for us on your favorite podcast platforms. Leave us a like, leave us a subscription or a follow or whatever it is that you can do on your chosen service to show your appreciation, and let us know your thoughts, of course, as always, because we will endeavour to read comments and answer them in future episodes. For myself and Ross, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you again soon.